We're going to learn how to use Python to send ourselves text messages based on data we get from our PLC. You could use this for a wide array of situations, but today my specific example will be using temperature. So we'll have a temperature input, and if it reaches a certain temperature, it'll shut the machine down and then send us a text message to alert us that the machine is shut down due to the temperature reaching a specific point. Now, I'll be honest, I really don't know how practical this video is going to be, just because I'm thinking back now, in the last plant that I worked at, they didn't allow us to have internet on the laptops. So this wouldn't work without internet. So I might be wasting my time here, but hopefully someone finds this useful. The application that I'm thinking this could be good for is if you are troubleshooting a machine, and sometimes when you're troubleshooting machines, it can take a while for the problem to arise. So rather than sitting on the computer for hours on end and just either logging the data, and then coming back later and going through all the data and seeing if it popped up or not, you can actually have Python send you a text message alerting you that a specific condition was met, and you can go and check it then, and you can just kind of forget about it for a while. So again, hopefully I'm not wasting my time with this idea, yeah. So first thing you're going to want to do is go to Twilio.com. I'll put a link in the description, and you're going to want to sign up. What makes Twilio nice is that when you sign up, you get about, I think it's like $15 free worth of data, and you don't have to put in your debit card information beforehand or anything like that, and then you forget about it and then you get charged. So that's nice. And two, Twilio, it's really, from what I was reading, it's pretty inexpensive. SMS text message costs like half of a cent to send, and then I think it might be like $1 a month or something, so it's really cheap. So you'll want to sign up, create an account, do the thing. I've already created an account, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. After you create your account, you're logged in, you select your phone number, all that fun stuff, then you'll be here at your dashboard. And you're really only going to need 3 things from your dashboard to get this to work. You're going to need your phone number, you're going to need your account SID, and the authorization token. So yeah, let's get started. I'm just going to quickly create a new folder for our project, and we'll just call this text project. I'm going to open up my command line. Go over here. I'm going to get the path to here. I'm going to go to the path, or excuse me, go to this location. And then I'm going to create a new virtual environment for our project. So I'm going to go ahead and go Python -m virtual env, and then I'm going to call my environment, I'm just going to call it PLC env. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and activate this environment. So we'll go /PLC env /scripts/activate. Okay, so our virtual environment has now been activated. And I want to go ahead and download, what we're going to do is download the Twilio library here for Python. And we're just going to use pip install Twilio. So I'll copy this, go over here, paste it. And right now it's downloading the Twilio library into our virtual environment. Okay, so I should be able to go Python and say import Twilio. Okay, cool, so it worked. So that's good to go. Now in the last video that we did with Pycomm, I cloned it from GitHub, and I don't know if that was necessary. I think I could have just used pip to install it. So let's see if it works. Because I think I tried it once with pip and it wouldn't work. But we're going to just try going pip install Pycomm, and we won't even have to worry about installing and cloning and all that stuff. So let's try it. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we kind of wasted our time on the last video, but hey, now you know how to clone from Git. So let's see if it worked. Import Pycomm. Cool. I'll take it. Okay, so before we start writing Python code, let's figure out what our PLC scenario is going to be. I am just going to be using temperature, and if a temperature gets above a certain point, it's going to shut the machine down. I guess what I'll do is I'll just we'll do a new rung over here, and then I'll say, what do we want to do here? We'll go compare. We'll do a greater than or equal to. So source A, we'll simulate a temperature input with N70, and we'll say N70 is our reactor core. We'll say reactor temp. Okay. And source B is going to be 100. So that's what we'll test against. And then if our temperature goes to if our temperature reaches 100 degrees or more, we will activate B310, and B310 will be shut down. Emergency shutdown. Okay. Cool. Let's go ahead and download this. Okay. So if it's at 80 degrees, nothing. If we reach 105 degrees, emergency shutdown. Okay. Cool. All right, so this is our scenario. Now let's write some Python code. So we'll come over here, and the first thing that we need to do is import the client object from Twilio.rest file. So we'll say from Twilio.rest import client. Okay, so client is an object that allows us to send text messages. Then we need the driver object from Pycomm in order to connect to our PLC and get data from it. So we'll say from pycomm.ab com.slc import driver. And this time I am going to rename driver. In the last video I didn't, but now we've got a couple different libraries in here. And so the last thing I want to do is be, a few months later down the road looking at my code and wondering, okay, is driver a part of the Twilio library or is it a part of the Pycomm library? It's pretty ambiguous. So I'm going to rename it to SLC driver. That's a little bit more obvious. Okay, cool. Now what we need to do is we need to go into our Twilio account, and we are going to take our account SID and our auth token values. We'll go, let's create a new variable called account SID, set it equal to a string. We'll copy this, paste it there, and then create a new variable called auth token. It's going to be equal to a string. We'll copy that, and then we'll paste it here. Okay, cool. All right, so what I'm going to do to attack this problem, I'm going to have two separate functions. I'm going to have my main function. I'm going to call upon main as soon as I run the file. And then if certain conditions are met, I'm going to call upon a different function called send text. And this will do the work as far as sending out the text message. So the way we define a function in Python is we say def, and then our function name, and then our parentheses, colon, and then yeah. Okay, so we're going to create a new driver object here, a new SLC driver object, and I guess I'll just call it microcon for micro connection and set it equal to SLC driver. Okay, and we'll just go if microcon dot open, and then we'll use our PLC's IP address. Okay, so if our SLC driver object is able to make a connection or open a connection to this IP address, which is our PLC, then we will do this stuff that we're about to write. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new variable called temp for temperature, and I'm going to set it equal to, actually I lied, I'm going to create a while loop here. So we'll say while true, because I'm going to want this to run continuously. I don't want this to stop until I say it. I want it to. I want it to continuously scan the value of this tag, and if it ever reaches a certain point, we'll do something with it. So while true, then I'm going to create a new variable called temp, and we're going to set it equal to the value of our N70 here, our simulated temperature input. Okay, so we'll go temp is equal to what is it, microcon dot read tag, and then N70. Okay, after we create a new variable called temp and set it equal to whatever the value is at N70, I'm going to want to do a test here, and I want to say if temp ends up being greater than or equal to 100, then we'll run a function called send text, and we will pass in temp as the argument. So we haven't created this yet. In a minute, I'm going to create a function like we did with main, but I'm going to call it send text. And so if temp becomes greater than or equal to 100, we'll call upon that. And then regardless of what happens, I'm going to want to sleep for 1 second. So I want to run this loop every second. And I forgot, I got to import that. So from time import sleep. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and add this function, send text. So I'm just going to come up here above main, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'll go define send text. Okay, and it'll have a parameter called temperature. Okay, all right. Now, what we need to do here, first of all, is we need to create a new client object here. So we'll go ahead and call our client object Twil client, and we'll set it equal to client. And then client has a couple arguments it needs. And that's where we're going to input our account SID as the first argument, and the second argument is the auth token. Okay, cool. And then we just need to do one more thing. We need to create a new variable called message, and we're going to set it equal to Twil client dot messages dot create, and then give it the arguments. So first argument is our body. Okay, our body is what our message, what our text message will say, what it'll contain. So this is cool. We can really get creative with this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, warning, reactor temp. Let me go and make this a little bit longer. Reactor temp is, and then I can actually go over here and say plus temperature plus exclamation mark. Okay. I guess then we can say shut down commencing, I guess. Okay, cool. Okay, so how is this working? Let's look at the flow of this, right? So temperature, what is this? Where is this coming from? Where is this variable coming from? Well, that's coming from right here, right? Where is this coming from, or where is it getting its value from? When we call upon the send text function and we input temp as the param, or as the argument. Temp is coming from here, and temp comes from here. So you just work backwards through it to figure out where that's coming from. That's the first argument in here. Then we'll go from underscore, and this is going to be the phone number that we're sending from. So this is going to be our account's phone number. And we will copy the phone number and paste it. And then we have one more argument, and it's called to, the phone number that we're sending to. So this will be my phone number. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Go ahead and save it, and then we will run it. I forgot to do two things, I realized. Number one, if we tried to run this file as it is, this script, nothing would ever go because we never initially called any of the functions to run right off the bat. So we need to actually come in here and say main, just like that. That way, when the file is run, it will call main, and everything, it'll start here and go. The next thing I forgot to do here is when temp gets set equal to the value at N70, it's not a string. I believe it's a byte. And then when we take temp and pass it into the send text function, and then it gets sent to here, and then we try to use it here and add it to a string, that's not going to work. We're going to throw an error. You can only add strings to strings. You can't add an integer to strings or a byte to strings. So we actually have to make sure that we convert temperature to a string right here. Okay? So what we'll do is we'll just cast it to a string. right here, and this will solve that error that we would have thrown had we not done that. Okay? All right, now this should work. So we'll go ahead and say File, Save, and we will go ahead and run this now. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Oops, no, I need that. Okay. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to open up a new command line. Change my directory. I'm going to activate my virtual environment. And then I'm going to go ahead and change to this directory. And then I'm going to run my main Python file here. So let's open up here, and I'm just going to go Python main.py. Okay, and then I'm going to record my phone. So as soon as I press enter on this, our script will be running. We're not going to see anything pop up in here because I'm not printing anything to the console. So we can come over here and mess with this. We'll say 80. Okay. No text messages. Nothing's activated. Okay. Let's say the temperature reached 105. We should start seeing some text message here in a second. I'm going to go back to 0. Okay, so you can see we got a text message. Let's do it again. 105. Okay, so we're getting a bunch of text messages now because we left it on for too long. So obviously we need to fix our code. You know, maybe we can make it so it comes like maybe every 5 minutes or something. So we'll try and fix that here in a second. Now for those of you who are like following along step by step, paying attention to like every single detail, don't get confused by the fact that I deleted these values. I deleted these values because I don't plan on running this again, and I'm getting, I don't know, it's way too much effort to block that out in the video editing software. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I went ahead and deleted them. So that's why they're gone. But we need to solve our problem of, you know, for every second that the temperature is greater than or equal to 100 degrees, it's sending us a text message. So we don't need a text message every single second that it's greater than 100 degrees. Let's say we just need one every 5 minutes. Okay, so all we need to do to fix that is come in here and add sleep, and there's 300 seconds in 5 minutes, and that's it. So if the temperature ever becomes greater than or equal to 100, it would send the text, and then it would sleep for 300 seconds, and then it would go over here. It would sleep for 1 second, and then we would loop back here again, and it would read the temperature. If the temperature is greater than or equal to 100, it'll send us a text. It'll sleep for 300 seconds, and then it'll sleep for 1 second, and then loop back up. It'll read the temperature. If temp is greater than or equal to 100, or sorry, if temperature is not greater than or equal to 100, then it's just going to skip this block of code and sleep for 1 second, and it'll continue scanning. So yeah, that's how that works. Is that a robust way to do it? Not really, no, but I mean, if you're just using this for like a simple personal troubleshooting tool, then this works out really well. And I apologize, but I'm noticing more things about my code here. And for one, I just realized we don't really need this. This is not important because, I mean, I originally had this so we didn't send like, you know, 3 million text messages to ourselves in the beginning before we added this sleep. You know, if we had just been, I mean, that would have been bonkers. So I had added the 1 second there. But now we can actually delete this, because now this will scan it, you know, really fastly. And if the temperature ever gets to this point where it's greater than or equal to 100, it'll send a text and then always sleep 300 seconds. So it would be impossible for us to just just like send 3 million text messages all at once, because this will just loop so quickly. So that's all you need right there, actually. Just wanted to quickly wrap up the video. Hopefully you guys were able to take something away from this. I don't feel like it was the best example. It wasn't the most practical idea, but I hope it got the gears turning and the juices flowing on what you could use it for in your own scenarios or your own situations. You know, could we have structured this in a you know, in a class, and then use something like, you know, if name is equal to main? Yeah, we could have done something like that. But you know, if you're just looking for something quick, you know, this will work. And then if you want to make yourself like a full-fledged, robust script, then yeah, go for it. But yeah, that's it. So hopefully you guys liked the video, and we'll see you in the next one.